Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Rooted Podcast. John here once again, along with Mr. Ben Cole. And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about trials and how sometimes in life things just don't go the way you planned, and that's okay. You just got to keep on keeping on. But we have plenty of stories from the hunting world of where things just did not go quite as we planned. But before we deep dive into all that, Ben, what's the verse of the day, my friend?
Well, we're back in the book of Romans, chapter 5, starting in verse 3. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Now, listen, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in life, in hunting, in every aspect as we walk through this time we have on earth. But what is that doing? Number one, that's building us up, right? That's building us to where we have endurance. So that way we can steadfast and run through all of these trials that are coming, because life is full of trials. Hunting is full of trials. You're going to run into things like we're going to talk in a little bit about missing and some mishaps and different things like that. But you don't just quit. And that's what we're talking about here, is these trials and sufferings produce endurance. And endurance is what builds your character. So through this, you're not only building your endurance, but you're also building your character. Same with the hunting world. You go through these problems, you go through these trials, situations, you're building every step of your character as you go through the hunt and hunting situations, very similarly to how you are building your character walking with Christ. It's a daily process. It's a daily grind. Every day we have to pick up our cross. And the same with hunting. You don't just go out there and you're good at it. You know, you have to crawl before you walk, and walk
everything takes time.
Exactly. Everything takes time. But the thing of it is,
sorry, Ben, go ahead. Sorry.
No, man, the thing of it is that, hope doesn't put us to shame, man, because our hope is in Jesus Christ, who is eternal Father. And our hope in him isn't in vain. It's not fake. It's not, some fairy tale. It is real. And it is the assurance that we get through the Holy Spirit, because it's been poured into our hearts. So a little side note, the Holy Spirit was given to us when Jesus departed this earth after the crucifixion. So when he died on the cross, all the things that happened there, he ascends into heaven and we receive the Holy Spirit. So it's kind of like our guiding light through all of this. So, the way I see it is like, and this may not be the most accurate example, but one of the old timers in hunting camp, has been there, been through everything, seen it all, and he's giving you tips and pointers on how to hunt a certain piece of property or whatever. Same with your life. That's what the Holy Spirit does. He gives you tips, pointers, what not to do. You just got to stop long enough to listen. Same in every aspect of life. You just have to stop long enough to listen.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is it really doesn't matter how long, because you're just going to keep making mistakes, and hopefully you don't make the same ones, right? Hopefully, of course, you make a mistake, learn from it, and move on. But, man, especially in the world of hunting, sometimes crap's just going to happen. And it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it or what you're doing. You can make a plan and God's going to laugh at you, because it's just the way it is. Nothing goes perfect. And, you got to make the most of it. So we have all been there. And one of the most recent hunts that I was on that something just went a little awry, my brother and I were in South Georgia hunting wood ducks. And what's happening is we are sitting up under this tree in the water, and for some reason he thinks that, the bird's only going to come this way. I've only ever seen him come this way. And he's sitting there hiding. And then, of course, they come from the other way, where he is not real hidden. And they turn, they see his white face. These wood ducks are decoying in, and then they see him, and they leave. And we got lucky, we got a shot off and got one, but in a perfect world, right? We had the plan. We were hidden from where they were supposed to come in, and all these things, and you have an idea of how it's going to flow, and then it flows a different way, and ultimately we did not prepare for every circumstance, and whenever you don't do that in life, but it's in hunting, it doesn't matter. It will come back to bite you. And in this case, instead of shooting our limit is what we should have done. We only got one. And man, that's just one example. I've screwed up so many times in the woods, man.
Oh,
I
yeah, me
mean,
too.
and it's part of it, and it's really how you learn. Because to me, I mean, I can listen to somebody, but until I go out and do it, that's when I really, really learn. And unfortunately, it's part of the game. But of course, you can hopefully try and listen to some people, watch some videos, read some articles, and try to keep that learning curve shorter than hopefully it needs to be. But there's going to be a learning curve regardless. So just be ready for that.
Well, there's always a learning curve, buddy. No matter what you do in life or in hunting,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have learning curves. I mean, look at it. Look at all the different properties we've hunted over the years. Every time we step on a new one, we face that learning curve. Until we've been there for a little while, it takes time to learn a new piece of property. Every
It
single
does.
time.
And it don't matter if we're, hunting a critter that we've hunted all over the country. It's, there's always a new piece to learn. And even when you think you've got it all figured out and you have all the answers, there's always a question that pops up you just don't know the answer to.
That
And,
is correct.
and
Well,
you know,
you should have known better than listening to Jimmy. They always come in from this way. Well, a duck is a duck.
dude,
And
I
they
was
can
hidden.
fly in however they want to. They don't
Dude,
have landing strips like an airport.
buddy,
This is the only way you can come in. A duck
dude.
can come in from anywhere.
Sometimes talking to him is, it don't really sit. It don't really hit. You know what I mean? It doesn't really commute. And to him, he's like, I've watched a man that always, and I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm gonna hide underneath this tree. Like the whole tree, all sides. Like that's what I'm gonna do. And now, had he just not turned and waited till they landed, it would have been all right because they just saw, like he had a hood up and stuff. They didn't see him until he turned and there's his face. But it does not take a wood duck long to get up and get. No, they're gone, boys.
They're gone, buddy. And I guarantee you, he didn't have a face mask on or
No.
a face paint.
No, no,
Just
heck
that
no.
old pearly white shining.
That's it,
in the
buddy.
breeze. Oh yeah, that old pearly white shining looked like the moon done landed right there where y'all were standing.
Dude, it was the fact that we got like a dozen wood ducks to decoy was pretty neat, though.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. How many did y'all kill out of that is the real question.
Dude, that's what I'm telling you. We got lucky. We got one because they all flew off as soon as they seen them. Gone. Bye. By the time I figured out that they were there, he was already shooting.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
So, but hey, that's what I'm saying. It's like just when you think you got it all figured out, nope. You sure don't.
You don't. No, man. The crazy thing is I've hunted ducks all over the country and in Canada, and man, sometimes they'll be there, sometimes they'll do it like you want them to, and sometimes they decide to be real smart and real picky. And they don't like this, they don't like that, they don't like you spinning wings, or they don't like the way this motion is over here, but it's not as good over here. It's just 10,000 different things that can happen, but ultimately, they're ducks, right? They have a mind of their own, they migrate, and they can fly wherever they want to go.
Yep.
So, having an expectation that you're going to go out and, shoot limits every single day of the 60-day season.
Yeah.
It's just not really going to happen. It's not feasible. I mean, you can go out there and you can scout your rear end off. You can go and find the birds. You can. And you're going to have a lot of good hunts if you put the work into it. But most of the time, you're going to have to understand what way they're coming in, where they're coming from, how to hide according to the wind. Because that's the biggest thing of all. Because they are like planes when it comes to landing. They land with the wind in their face.
Yes.
Unlike deer hunting, you do not want the wind in your face. When you're duck hunting, you want it at your back, blowing in front of you or right to left, east to west, whatever. So that's one thing to keep in mind, to help you put your decoys where they need to be, is always make your landing zone into the wind, because if you don't, there may be a few that swing in there and do a weird dip and fall in, but to get your bigger flocks in, you're gonna have to put it to where they can hit that wind, and slide on in.
Yep, gotta do what you gotta do. But then again, to your point, you feel like you have the perfect setup and everything, and sometimes a duck is just gonna do what a duck does and not give a crap. Deer are the same way. I mean, if you think, man, I'm on this trail and I got this deer on camera, and today he decided to walk down a different trail. I mean, turkeys, it's just all the same. I mean, I've had people swear up and down this turkey's coming, and well, the next morning he decided to fly off the tree on the other direction. And you're like, well, there goes that. And it's just now you got to regroup and rethink and attack it from a different angle. But it's just part of the game, and that's what makes it fun, right? Because it's not a guarantee. So even when you do everything in your power, and sometimes you do everything in your power and stuff still screws up, like sighting in a gun, it just happens.
It does, boy. Do I got a story about that? So I just got this new gun from Weatherby, 257 Magnum, beautiful gun, very well built.
Sounds nice.
And man, it's awesome. Shoots great, smooth. Everything about it is just perfect, perfection. And I thought, well, I'll put a Vortex scope on there because they're pretty reliable from everything I've seen, and I've had a few, and they're running a good sell on them at Academy, and I thought, well, heck, fire, that looks good to me. Right out of the box, boy, it was trouble. Usually it takes me about 4 shots to dial it in, and took me 12.
Good.
And then finally got it dialed in. Like, all right, cool, we're close. Inch high, 100 yards, like I like it. And then we went on to Alabama there, and I thought, I better shoot this thing just to be on the safe side. I pulled that gun out of the bag, and it was 6.5 inches low and to the right. And I thought,
yikes.
Okay, I just zeroed this in, and now we are way over here to the right. It took 7 shots to get it dialed back in. I got it back zeroed. Perfect. And I know it's not the gun. I know it's not the ammo. I know that for a fact. And I went to...
Yeah, and obviously you checked the tightness of the scope and did all the things.
Oh, dude, I torqued it to spec. I used a torque wrench and everything. I torqued it to spec what it said exactly on the box. That's what I went with. And went out hunting. Had a nice buck come in. Boom. I hear a whack. Not a whack like when it hits the deer. A whack like it hit the tree behind the deer way too high. And I just immediately was like, no.
It's awful feeling.
I went from excited to bummed out all in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's a mental roller coaster, this deer hunting rig.
Yeah, it absolutely is, man. And
this year's been like that, man.
Dude, this year's been terrible.
I mean, all the hunts I've been on, and it's like, I mean, I've gotten a doe and another little deer, but I've watched people miss so many times this year, and it being I had a deal with a muzzleloader happened the same way, had it sighted in, and then I'm pretty sure that the scope got bumped, and then just like all these things, and even my bow shot wasn't great, and it's like, I mean, what do you do, man? It's I mean, there are times where it just feels like nothing's gonna go right and everything has gone wrong, and just like you go out here, you sight in the gun, you get to Alabama, you sight it in again, and then here this thing is obviously off again, right? So I mean, you shoot at the deer, and then what?
Yeah, he didn't run like a deer that was hit. And
Yeah.
you've seen me shoot deer. I don't miss. By golly, I did the other day. I sure did.
Happens.
Hey, buddy, it does. I mean,
And it
I
don't have to be your fault either. I
no, it
mean,
doesn't. And man, I just pride myself in taking time, to know what I'm shooting at and
breathe.
to breathe and all the things. I mean, me
Yep.
and you have killed a lot of critters together. You know for a fact that I am a good shot with
Oh,
a
yeah.
firearm. And so I'm like, man, did I do something with that? Is that me?
Yeah.
And so first, it's the self-doubt. I start doubting myself and my abilities.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, you better go and reshoot that gun just to be 100% positive. And man, I did. And it was off again. High and to the left, about 4.5, 5 inches high and to the left.
I mean, just like what in the world?
I don't know, man. I don't know how you go from an inch over at 100 to 4.5, 5 inches up and to the left. Well, I didn't bump nothing. We literally went in the case after I shot it to the back seat of my truck, out of the case, into the blind. There was no drops, no bumps, nothing. Like it shouldn't have been that far off.
No, shouldn't have been off at all. Yeah.
No, and it should have been dead on, and that deer should have been just laying there in the field with his legs up kicking. Moral of that story is that deer was not laying there, and he was not just kicking. I had to get my shirt tail cut on that one. And hey, man, look, it happens to everybody. I don't care who you are, how good of a shot you are. At some point or another, you're going to miss. But to touch back on the point of what you were saying earlier, man, this season has been awful. It has been
it's been a rough one.
Worst deer season I have ever had in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, it's been tough, man.
Dude, we went from having 15, 20 deer in the field of dreams every day to me sitting 10 times and seeing nothing. Nothing.
It'll wear on you too, man. But it's just important to in the moment, just embrace the suck, realize that it's not perfect, and then you just have to keep on trucking and regroup, make a plan, keep going. Because I mean, giving up's not an option. Because you're definitely not going to kill it sitting at the house, sitting on the couch watching a ball game or sleeping in. You're not going to kill the deer that way. That's a fact. I know that. So I mean, you just got to keep going out there and try your best to control the controllables. And sometimes even when you do that, your scope is off for some god awful unknown reason. So
yeah. And then, you get into another situation where you got to call the old hounds in to track your deer.
Yeah, we don't like that.
That old so-called hound ain't as good as what he portrayed it to be. Boy, I'm telling you, I watched one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. This old boy rolls up, two-wheel drive truck. I ain't never seen a dog tracker in my life in a two-wheel drive truck. Never. He's probably a good enough dude, I mean, I'm not knocking him.
Yeah, this is in Bama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're going to show up for the job, show up for the job. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you all this. Here's a pointer to keep in mind. If a man jumps out of his truck with brand new britches on and brand new dog tracking stuff on, red flag. You want that old boy that's got rips in it, holes in it. You already know that he's done tracked a whole bunch of deer.
Yeah.
And man, it was just kind of funky from the start. I mean, like I said, I'm sure this guy's a good guy, and I don't know him personally.
Was this for your deer or
no,
different persons? Okay.
This is for somebody else's in the club. Man, they started off, we found some blood, and man, there was nothing. And then he just disappeared. Well, we don't even have a handheld to know where he is.
They ain't got no GPS on this dog?
No, it's the handler, too. The handler and the dogs disappeared into the woods.
And I thought you just with the dog. That's hilarious. Boy, they both said, we out of here.
No, man, me and these old boys just standing in the dark like, what the heck? And then he gets out the truck and he ain't got a gun. And I'm like, what you mean you ain't got a gun? How you gonna put this deer down? Hey, I got a pocket knife. I was like, a gosh dang pocket knife? What you mean a pocket knife?
Okay, Rambo. Yeah.
if you see a deer and he jumps up, how you expect to go and stick at baby? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going in there with guns ablazing, homie. You know we ain't playing.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
ain't playing.
hopefully the deer's dead, but
Yeah,
if
hopefully.
not,
But
I mean, yeah,
hey, man, I've seen it before. You know, we've told the story before with Slate about Slade, how I shot that deer and it took us forever to find it. But guess what? The tractors were awesome. They had wonderful dogs. We
yeah,
found that deer and we killed it with a gun because we had to
yeah,
dispatch the animal. And that's the part of it, is like just know, that some people are out there just to collect a check, and I love watching dogs work. I love it more than anything. Especially when you got them good hound dogs. You can see it as soon as they get out of the truck, noses on the ground.
dude. I've never really been in a hound dog watching situation, except and I wouldn't call this a hound dog. Whenever we were in Georgia and Chandler's little tiny dog, I was surprised that sucker found that deer. And it really didn't even need it. I mean, that deer did not. It went further than I thought, but that deer was pouring the blood.
Yeah, that 300 Win Mag, buddy.
It was kind of fun to let the dog lead, and that dog found that freaking deer.
Yeah, he did.
It's hilarious. I forget what kind of dog it was. It was a little tiny thing, almost like a little wiener dog, but it wasn't that.
It's a Boykin Spaniel.
Okay, little tiny feller, but it was cool. Cool to see.
Yeah,
but
little Boykin.
I really do love watching waterfowl dogs going working, grabbing ducks and whatever.
Yeah,
that's really cool, especially a well trained, and they're just and you whistle and you just point and they just go and they know what to do, and it really is a sight to see.
Oh yeah, it is, man. There's nothing better than watching a good dog work. I love watching a good dog work, and they use their noses so well. It's so intriguing to sit there and watch them weave back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you can always tell when they hit something. They hit that scent. It's like they drop a mental pin right there at that spot. And, it's like Avery, man, when I had her back in the day and we were duck hunting. She'd just peel off into the bush. I'm like, where are you going? The duck's over here. And here she come back prancing with a duck in her mouth. It's like, what in the world? I would have never found that bird. Never.
Right.
Because when you're in the mix of all of it, the shooting and everything and watching all the birds fall and making sure you mark every one of them, every now and then one or two slip away from you. And, that's just the beauty of having a good dog, is one that can just walk right up and boom, found it, and you done forgot about it. But she didn't. And she got a whiff of it, with that wind, and she just come right out of the briars. Wow, I was like, hey,
you gotta love
there
that.
There you go. And that was the one shy we had from being at the limit. And she found it. So
well, there you go.
Yeah, it was awesome. But man, the thing is, mishaps are going to happen.
Yeah, it's life.
It's just like my bow season. It's terrible. Gun season hadn't been no better. And then I finally get the opportunity to shoot a deer and swing and a miss. John, I was so disappointed. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all.
Dude, I know, man.
I was so mad.
It's so awful, mad. Man. Well, and again, in the moment, dude, it's like the world's crumbling. Nothing's worse. My life sucks. This is awful. You just get totally irrational with it, and you're just like, "This is the worst thing that has ever happened to me." And it's terrible, and it's not going to get better. And don't try to make me feel better, because I don't want to feel better. I won't be mad. And then eventually you kind of, relax, and a day or two goes by and you're like, all right, we're going to be okay. But, for most people, when they try hard things and things don't go their way and it's hard and you try and it's even harder and you keep coming back, eventually people give up. And that's why I'm here to tell you is don't do that. Because
don't do it.
When it happens, it's going to be a million times sweeter, even if that takes till next season. When you get your hands on that deer, you're gonna be like, man, I worked for this thing. Like, there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of you doing something, a sense of accomplishment. Like, this took a lot of work, it wasn't given to me, I worked for this. And then there's some seasons where it feels like we got all the answers and we're killing deer left and right. Boy, I can't stop killing deer. They just love me. They just keep coming out. And but that's just life.
It is just life, and sometimes I feel like, God gives you this kind of stuff to make you truly rely on Him and teach you patience,
Yes.
because I have not much patience. I'm always like, well, I should have killed a deer yesterday, or 2 days ago. I should have killed that buck a month ago, whatever. And now I'm sitting here, Tennessee season's over. I didn't kill a deer. Alabama season's not far from being over, and I got whipped down there too. But I'm here to tell you, John, these ducks the next 3 weeks are about to get the wrath, because I am pulling out all stops, buddy. I am about to go. Well, I say that. I'm going to try my best, but good night. The way it's been going, it may not work out too good for me.
We're fixing to find out.
By golly, we going to give it all she got. You know what I'm saying?
And hey, sometimes the best thing to do is just switch gears. Let's go shoot a different critter or try to, and hopefully that works out. And then, you build your confidence. Because, I mean, if you're sitting there in a timber hole somewhere in Arkansas or wherever, or you're in just a pond in Oklahoma or whatever you're doing, and then you just happen to sweet call that duck and he lands right there and you shoot him in the face, you're like, you know what? I'm back, baby. I got my swag back now.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Or you miss and you just spiral on further.
Yep, and then you're further down the rabbit hole. That's the game you play, my friends. That's the game you play.
That's the game you play right there, is swinging a miss or a hit and a hooray. One of the two.
That's it. And but the beautiful thing about it is it just takes one. If I can get one win, I'm back, dude. I'm on cloud nine. Like, yep, I'm the best there ever was. I'm like Ricky Bobby, buddy.
Yeah, if you ain't first, you last, baby. I just need somebody to pretend like there's Colombian Bam Bam strapped under my truck,
Yeah, exactly.
And
I just called the cops.
Yeah, and all it is just a thing of cereal, but that's what it takes to get you back motivated,
Hey, and that kind of also helps too whenever you can have it definitely helps when you can have a group of guys or friends, whatever, that you can go to whenever that happens. And now look, they will be the first ones to make fun of you, put you down in the dirt even further. But if you stick around long enough, they're also the ones to build you back up. And it's just part of the game, and it's just the way it is. And then eventually, because look, the bottom line is, if you are at any hunting camp and someone tells you that they have never missed, they're lying. Or they haven't hunted enough. One of the two. So we've all done it, so we can all make fun of you for doing it. And it's not the first time something's went wrong. It's not going to be the last time either.
Yeah, it's hunting. Part of it is, you win some, you lose some, and that's what makes the wins so beautiful, is the ones you lost.
Yes.
Makes it work.
Absolutely. Yeah, because, in all reality, if you went out there and every single time and it worked out perfectly, it sounds great on paper, but eventually you would miss the point.
Yeah, exactly. The point is being in God's creation and enjoying what He has set forth for you to take care of.
Absolutely. That is the idea.
That is correct.
So
the moral of the story is to keep your head up, keep your chin up. Even when you miss that deer or don't get that limit of ducks, it's all right. That doesn't define you as a hunter or any other way. So just keep going, keep hunting, keep being you, and keep loving what God has called you to do.
Boy, I couldn't have said that any better. Lordy be. Look, if I'd have known any better, he'd got that off of some AI thing.
No, I had to. The only artificial intelligence I got is in my brain, buddy.
Yeah, buddy, it is
real-time intelligence that sporadically. It's like one of them loose wires that kind of jolts every now and then.
Hey, yeah, buddy. Hey, look, I got a couple speakers in my truck. When I hit a good bump, to turn back on.
Yeah, that's like my brain. It's a little sparky every now and then, but it works.
It gets the job done.
Hey, every now and then we'll have some dingers.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. Gotta have that. But man, I think it's just important for us to share those type of things. To you get into this hunting TV world, and all y'all are watching the YouTube channels, and that's great. Ben and I have a YouTube channel, and we would love for y'all to watch it and all the things. But it's important because you can get really caught up in everybody killing the biggest and the baddest, and no one really ever shows the misses. And You know, I can remember the first time on TV where I saw him miss, and that just tells you because no one ever shows it. But I was watching Turkey Thugs, man, and Paul Butsky from Turkey Thugs. I used to love that show, and Paul's great. I've met Paul, and one day we're going to have him on this podcast. We just got to get a schedule worked out. But anyway, to me, man, Paul Butsky's one of them OG just turkey killers, man. I mean, if there's a turkey in them woods to be killed, he'll find it and he'll get it done. That's Paul. And sitting there watching, and dude, Paul missed like 2 or 3 different times on the same trip, and was just flabbergasted. He just couldn't figure out why. And then, but again, he kept going out, and eventually he got a bird and all this. So it just goes to show you, like, it don't matter who you are, what you do. Sometimes that's just life, but you got to keep on going, and eventually it'll pay off. And when it does, nothing like it.
Absolutely. Nothing like it. Keep going, keep grinding, do your thing, and just be you. And enjoy God's creation. Stop worrying about killing the biggest or whatever. Just enjoy it.
Have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Have fun. No two ways,
Well,
man.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. And, just a couple things I want to tell some folks before we bounce out of here, Ben. Check us out on all of our socials, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all the fun places. Click like, subscribe, share, all the things. You guys know the drill here because you guys help us grow, and we really appreciate you tuning in and listening. If you guys want the most amazing snack on the market, go to trymanbar.com to get your meat stick today. Use code ROOTED10, ROOTED10, ROOTED10 for 10% off your order. And if you guys want to get the most realistic motion duck decoy on the market, go to japu.com. Use code ROOTED for 15% off your order. And thank y'all for listening so much. See y'all.
And with that, the redneck is out.